Bonjour. Ani Kirkwea. Hello, everyone. The lands on which we celebrate tonight are treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the Anishinaabeg, and traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Wendat peoples. And I am so proud of the rich tradition of Indigenous storytelling woven into the fabric of this country. And I'm honored to be one of this generation's storytellers. My name is Duncan McHugh, and I am an author.
The late Alberta writer Robert Croach once said, "The fiction makes us real. Fiction speaks to us, it speaks about us, and long after we're gone, it will speak for us." My name is Suzette Meyer, and I am so very grateful that I am an author.
When I was 16 and announced in my high school cafeteria in 1956 Toronto suburbia that I was going to be a writer, people did not think I was a fresh new voice whose stories needed to be told. They thought I was a lunatic. Not far wrong, but I persisted. And then, thankfully, along came Jack Rabinovich, who did not think writers were lunatics. Many congratulations to the fresh new voices whose stories need to be told. I don't think you're a lunatic. I am Margaret Atwood. I'm still somewhat of a lunatic. And I am, despite everything, an author.
Hi there, my name is Rick Mercer. I'm your host tonight, and I too am an author. Good evening and welcome to the 30th annual Scotiabank Giller Prize, the most important and exciting night in Canadian literature. Thank you very much. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Four Seasons Hotel in downtown Toronto, or as it was called once upon a time, the Green Belt. Tonight, we celebrate books, the first step in the movie-making process. Watching from home is TV's most literary audience. 80% of the people tuning in tonight have the sound off and are reading the closed captioning. And if the closed captioning seems incredibly descriptive and evocative this evening, we've got Mr. Michael Ondaatje typing on the keyboard tonight. There is so much to celebrate this year. According to a recent Nanos poll, reading is one of Canada's most popular leisure activities. Second only to car theft. The Gillers, of course, were created and named by Jack Rabinovich in honor of his late wife, Doris Giller. Her passion for books was unmatched. Imagine if her passion was animal husbandry. What a different show this would be. And if that was the case, would Alice Munro have won 2 times? I think so. And thank you, and thanks to Jack's legacy and our sponsor, Scotiabank, the Giller Prize is not just any prize, it is Canada's richest literary prize. The winner tonight will walk away with $100,000. The losers have to rake Margaret Atwood's leaves. Of course, in reality, there are no losers tonight, far from it. The 4 runners-up will receive $10,000 each. Now, we will be meeting all of our authors tonight and learning about their books. Also, we'll be meeting and thanking our esteemed jury who spent months deliberating. However, the final winner tonight will be based on the online betting odds. Right now, it's a toss-up between Kevin Chong and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. A record 145 books were submitted for the big prize this year. Who says CERB wasn't a good thing? Quite a few shakeups in the industry this year. After a spectacular run as CEO of Indigo, Heather Reisman stepped down to become CEO of Indigo, which is very good news for book lovers. By the way, I actually went shopping today at the new flagship Indigo store. It's spectacular. Indigo also has a completely reimagined website. They even sell sex toys now. Very imaginative. My favorite is the Farley Mowat. The world needs more Canada. In the room tonight, we also have folks from this nation's finest independent bookstores, legendary independents like Another Story, Book City, A Different Drummer, Queen Books, Ben McNally. Imagine that. Imagine being an independent bookstore in this day and age, surviving the rise of the big box and Amazon and the pandemic, and they're still here. If there's a tornado, don't go to the basement, go to the bookkeeper in Sarnia and just start browsing. They can survive anything. Once again this year, the Scotiabank Giller Prize broadcast is commercial-free, which makes perfect sense, because when you're trying to cram one award into an hour, there's no time to waste on ads. We have a great show tonight, and joining us is Pablo Terry and Sol de Cuba. Jack loved the sexy Latin rhythms. It is the 30th anniversary, so tonight, thanks to Scotia Wealth Management, we will be taking a look back at some classic Giller moments, including some previous hosts. And there have been some great hosts. Interesting fact, in 2006, this show was hosted by Justin Trudeau. And rumor has it he will be available next year. Now let's kick this show off with a look back at the origins of this fantastic prize.
I think Jack wanted to throw a party that would be authors' only chance to dress up and go out.
What Jack Rabinovich did in founding this prize lifted so much of the industry.
My father, Jack, founded the prize. His wife, Doris Giller, died.
Doris loved books. She loved reading. She valued Canadian writers.
The annual prize will be awarded to a Canadian work of fiction published in English. With the honor goes a cash prize of $25,000.
I'd talked to Jack on the phone after Doris died. I'd never met him. Then when he finished his introduction of what he wanted to do, he started to cry. The first year I was on the jury with Mordecai and Alice Munro.
On the first annual Giller Award is MJ.
The first one, I had gone to the washroom when it was announced. My editor had that memory. She would say that often, that he was in the washroom and we had to drag him out.
Calling it the Oscars of the book world is accurate. The prize's presence in the Canadian landscape for readers, for publishers, for booksellers has become the most significant prize in Canada.
Because everybody loved it. Booksellers loved it, publishers loved it, authors loved it. But it was always a surprise. Jack didn't even know what was going to be in the envelope.
We have such a rich history in Canada of literature. And the Giller, it's always been the hallmark of our great literature scene here.
Well, let's meet our first finalist. She authored the international best-selling book, The Luminaries, which won the Man Booker Prize. She's also a talented screenwriter who adapted that novel for television and Jane Austen's Emma for film with her novel, Birnam Wood. Please welcome from Cambridge, England, Eleanor Catton.
Birnam Wood takes its title from Shakespeare's Macbeth, but it's not a straight-up adaptation of the play. Instead, every one of the characters is a contender for the role of the ambitious anti-hero. The millennial activists, convinced of their own righteousness. The Gen X billionaire, convinced there is no such thing as righteousness. And the complacent baby boomers who don't trouble themselves to ask the question. All practice deception. All fail to see as much as they suppose they see, and all believe that the villain of the story, the real Macbeth, is someone else. I love to play the piano at the end of a writing day. I find it a wonderful way to relax, to kind of free my mind. The problem with telling people this, that you're a very mediocre, if that, piano player, is that nobody believes you. Everybody thinks that you're just being modest. This is not true in my case. It's a very private hobby, but it's one that gives me great joy and satisfaction. Hello, my name's Eleanor Catton, and I'm the author of the novel Birnam Wood. I'm beaming in from my study at home in Cambridge, England, where I live. On the notice board above my desk, I have a bunch of treasures and artifacts of things to kind of keep me excited and motivated. These two wallpaper swatches are from Jane Austen's cottage in Chawton in England, which I visited when I was adapting her novel Emma for the screen. I love how bold these designs are, just knowing that Jane Austen woke up every morning and saw these designs. It kind of tickles me. In terms of Birnam Wood treasures, because in the novel I invented a national park, I invented a part of the South Island of New Zealand, I had to make a map to be able to keep track myself of kind of what was happening where and what direction north was and so on. So this highly technical map has been pinned above my desk for a number of years now. I've grown quite fond of it. I'm here in my living room, which is the designated fiction room of the house. Though my husband's novels and mine are very sharply divided from one another. His stop here at the edge of this bookcase, and then mine continue around the corner under the TV, and then on this side of the room as well. On my study wall, to keep me motivated in my plotting, are the ingredients, as I like to think of it, for a perfect crime story. At the top there you've got the villain, V is for villain. As Alfred Hitchcock said, the better the villain, the better the picture. And this was a piece of advice that I thought about a lot when I was writing Birnam Wood. In the middle is an image of young sorrow. The villain obviously always needs his prize, his prey. And then down the bottom here, the Reverend Green in the library with the spanner. You've got the ingredients of a perfect crime.
For the past 22 years, the Scotiabank Giller Prize has supported literacy programs across Canada. But the philanthropy does not stop there. This is the first year of the Giller Mantella Scholarship for Black, Indigenous, and racialized students. Each year, 3 deserving recipients will receive $10,000 to help further their studies in creative writing and literature. Thank you to Robert and Sylvia Mantella. Now let's take a look at how this event has grown throughout the years.
Jack came in to meet with our CEO at the time, Peter Godso, and Jack left with a handshake and a deal. And we ended up with a half-a-page note with like 6 or 7 bullets on it. And the comment was, we just did a deal.
Partly because of the infusion of Scotiabank has really gone from strength to strength. It really has transformed the business in a lot of ways.
Initially, it really sort of pivoted around this one night a year. And over the years, we've created this national tour. We've created a BIPOC scholarship.
It's definitely changed from being one night of dinner to being more present for readers throughout the year with webinars and online readings and events.
What we have seen over the last 30 years of the prize is the lack of predictability about what is going to be on the list and the breadth of the publishing that's happening in this country. There is no one kind of book that is longlisted, shortlisted, or that wins the prize.
And to have this family there that clearly treats it as more than that is a really special thing.
Jack would be very pleased. He would be very pleased that it's still going on, possibly a little annoyed that he's not here.
For 30 years, they've been championing books. Books have survived because of it.
I think this partnership with the Gillers and with the Rabinovich family has been incredibly important to the CBC. We do have an enormous amount of pride in supporting culture in this country that we think is really, really important to Canada.
You can be a sponsor and put your name on something, or you can be part of the something. And Jack allowed us to be part of that.
I continued what Jack Rabinovich started, and just to keep going, because it's an institution now.
No matter what, the intention is to elevate the authors and their careers. And that's what I want to continue to do.
Kevin Chong is an award-winning author of both fiction and nonfiction, including his book, Neil Young Nation, and the novel, The Plague. Joining us now to tell us about his shortlisted book, The Double Life of Benson Hugh. Please welcome British Columbia's own Kevin Chong.
The Double Life of Benson Hugh began as I reconsidered my own childhood as a bullied child who could never admit he was a bullied kid. In this novel, a washed-up writer tells a story of his childhood in Chinatown in the 1980s, befriending an awkward but benevolent karate master. In reality, something much darker happened, and this truth keeps trying to intrude on the story. Unable to maintain the integrity of his sanitized narrative, Benson's own real-life story falls apart.
I didn't expect to be nominated ever. I think the jury has done a really wonderful job, and I'm not just speaking about myself.
Hi, I'm Kevin Chong. I'm the author of The Double Life of Benson Hugh, and I'm in Vancouver. Here we are in Vancouver's Chinatown. My novel doesn't take place in any specific Chinatown, but definitely this was the place that I had in mind when I wrote The Double Life of Benson Hugh. I grew up partially in Chinatown. I spent summers here with my grandmother who lived in the area. My dad managed a nursing home for about 30 years. Vancouver's very first Chinese-Canadian nursing home. Here I'm at one of my favorite restaurants, and I really love their barbecue pork noodle soup. I hope my doctor doesn't see this. It's not good for my cholesterol.
I know what this is.
I just got a box of my new books.
More copies!
The book jacket turned out beautiful. I really love the cover. Welcome to my office, or the steps leading up to my office. Exciting, isn't it? Basically, I structure my life around the pick-up soccer games I play around noon, lunchtime. And I squeeze in a little bit of writing before that, a little bit of writing after that. I feel like I'm a very unconvincing fake typer. And in fact, The Double Life of Benson Hugh was written during lockdown in the spring of 2020, when everyone was in the house. And I kind of needed to create some private space in my own head and to deal with the kind of anxiety that was happening because of the uncertainty around the world. I think for the first week after being nominated, I had a lot of trouble sleeping because I was so excited. And yeah, this is going to be a really special part of my life that I'll always look back upon.
Thank you, Kevin. I am so happy to be part of a night honoring Canadian writers because I am a proud Canadian, regardless of what you may hear on the Fifth Estate this Friday night. And that's all I'm going to say about that. By the way, this is a live broadcast. I don't need to tell you that. Which means when someone is awarded the Scotiabank Giller Prize between now and the top of the hour, they will be having what is quite possibly a life-altering moment in real time in front of the nation. Here are some of those moments from the last 3 decades of this event.
It's not about celebrities. It's not about fame. It's not about bestsellers. It's just about books.
And the winner is?
And the winner is?
And the winner is
Elizabeth Hay.
I'm very thrilled and very lucky. So lucky, in fact, that I'll probably be hit by a truck tomorrow.
The selection process for the jury, it's excruciating. It's agonizing. It's impossible.
Ian Williams for his novel.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been that happy. You have no idea, like, how special this is for me. Every time I watch the footage, I get a little bit teary. And every time I watch the footage, it's still like a surprise, right? Like, there's no dulling the moment for me. Margaret Atwood over there is the first book I bought with my own money at a bookstore in Brampton. The winner of the 2020 Scotiabank Giller Prize is Suvankam Tamavongsa. How to pronounce night.
I'm the only Giller winner to have won the prize on my couch. Congratulations! I was sure that these things always happen to other people, that they wouldn't happen to me. 36 years ago, I went to school and I pronounced the word knife wrong, and I didn't get a prize. But tonight, there is one. People knew how to pronounce my name properly. They knew I was a writer. I didn't have to say I'm a writer for real. The winner of the 2021 Scotiabank Giller Prize is Omar El Akkad.
My mom initially was reluctant to come to the awards ceremony because she was convinced that being at the awards ceremony had cursed the whole entire process.
For the past few months, I've had the incredible honor of being mentioned in the same breath as 4 outstanding authors, any of whom could be standing up here right now.
After you finish giving the speech, they sort of rush you off there because you have to go upstairs and do the media stuff. And so they rush me there. We go through the kitchen entrance. It all feels very VIP and cool. We get into the service elevator to go up to the 16th floor. The elevator promptly breaks down. The first 20 minutes of my life as a Giller Prize winner was spent waiting for the fire department to show up. It was definitely a life-changing experience on many, many fronts.
It's no secret that literature brings people together. And there may be fewer bookstores, but one thing that has really grown in the last 10 years is the small, community-based lending library. You see them everywhere. You leave a book, you take a book. The people who own these say they're very personally satisfying. But I wanted to find out more. So I headed to a neighborhood in Toronto and tried my hand at something I've never done before. Journalism in the field. I'm Rick Mercer.
And I'm Lisa Laflamme. Is the little free library really so free? And is it really so little? Rick, have you used the little free library?
I have not, Lisa Laflamme, but today I will. I am donating a copy of Jan Arden's new novel, The Bittlemores.
And you've worked with Jan.
I certainly have. She's an incredible musician and actor, but I think if she wanted to be remembered for anything, it would be her animal rights activism. She loves horses.
Let's try to stay focused. We are going to move to an undisclosed location to monitor what happens at the little free library. My research indicates that people of all socioeconomic backgrounds, even celebrities, use this. I'm told Dr. David Suzuki uses this library himself.
There's David Suzuki now.
How do you know it's David Suzuki? Never mind. Oh, we have a jogger. Wait, something's caught his eye.
That's actually celebrity contractor Brian McCourt, star of Backyard Bills. He's looking for a book. Nope. He's installing a solar panel.
Where was he hiding that drivel?
Look who it is. It is newly elected Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow.
She's looking for something. It looks like she's taking out one of those Daniel Steele novels. Those are so popular.
Oh, don't I know it. And what's she doing now? She's reaching in. Oh, Oh, it's a cover-up. Municipal tax codes. I know what she'll be reading in the chamber.
Here's a horse now, carrying one of Toronto's finest. It seems to be opening the library door. I didn't think a horse could do that. Jan Arden's book has fallen to the ground.
Oh my God, oh my God. The horse is eating Jan Arden. Oh, the humanity and the irony. The horse is devouring Jan Arden.
Here comes another one. Who is it?
I'll tell you who it is. This is one hell of a neighborhood because, if I'm not mistaken, that's Geddy Lee from Rush. And yes, he has a copy of his new memoir, My Effin' Life.
Highly anticipated. I can't imagine anyone selling more copies of a memoir this season than Geddy Lee.
Point taken.
No, seriously, anyone.
Yes, point taken. Lisa, he seems to be taking out a sticky note, and yes, there is now a copy of My Effin' Life in the Little Effin' Library.
Wow, a striking act of vandalism from a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Well, this has been an incredible investigative experience. Thank you, Lisa LaFlamme.
And thank you, Rick Mercer. It's really been fascinating. Great working with you.
Thank you. Although I have to ask you, Lisa, you've had an incredible career. Are you going to write a book?
Oh, you better believe it.
Sarah Bernstein's debut novel, The Coming Bad Days, was published in 2021, and earlier this year, she was named one of the best young British writers. Sarah cannot be with us tonight due to the arrival of her baby. So we now go to the Scottish countryside, where Sarah is standing by with her book, Study for Obedience. Please welcome live from Scotland, Sarah Bernstein.
Study for Obedience was inspired by the painter Paula Rego's suggestion that women's obedience, their acts of service, can be, as she said, murderous. The novel explores, through the relationship between the narrator and her brother, how such a passive trait, taken to an extremity, might unsettle established relations of power. In this way, I wanted to look at how systems of domination are disabling to the people exerting power as well as to the people subject to it, and to do so in a way that took into account a broader experience of history. Even though I live in a very small and very remote village, in the nearest slightly larger village, there are two independent bookshops, one of which is called the Cayley Place Bookshop, which is where I launched my book earlier this summer. I'm Sarah Bernstein, and I'm from Montreal, Quebec, but I live in the Northwest Highlands of Scotland in a village called Athltibui, and I'm the author of Study for Obedience. My day usually starts with walking the dog down the road. And one of the nice things about when the days get shorter is that when the mornings are dark, sometimes we'll see a barn owl swooping across the road. This is my desk. You can see that it's very windy and wild outside today. I find I do a lot of my thinking outside on walks, so I try to get out as much as possible, outside of writing and outside of work. My partner and I have access to a small croft where we have a vegetable plot that we use to grow different kinds of vegetables. And we also have a small flock of Scottish blackface sheep. We hand shear them ourselves. And one day I will hopefully learn how to process the wool so I can do something with the fleeces. One of the things that inspired the writing of Study for Obedience was that a few years ago I'd gone to see a retrospective of the painter Paula Rego's work. And on one of the gallery walls, they'd put up a quote from the artist, which said something like, "I can turn the tables and do as I want. I can make my women obedient and murderous at the same time." And I became very interested in that dynamic because obedience is something that is usually characterized as passive and it's usually feminized. And I wanted to see if I could recreate that kind of dynamic using language. So that really became the basis of the story of Study for Obedience.
Our jury had their work cut out for them this year, and believe me, it is not easy being on a jury. I was on one last year. The guy walked. Don't ask me why, because honestly, once it started, I didn't pay attention to anything. It was like, beep. But for those people on the Giller jury, they had to take a very long list, and they were forced to turn it into a short list, kind of like buying groceries these days. Personally, I don't actually know how it's humanly possible for our jury to get to 145 books. I'm still working on the 4 I was assigned in grade 9. If anyone here knows how Lord of the Flies ends, don't tell me. I'm pretty sure Piggy becomes their leader. Please welcome the jury chair, the winner of the 2019 Scotiabank Giller Prize for his novel Reproduction, Ian Williams.
Good evening, everyone. It's a really exciting evening tonight, but we're in serious times. And it's natural to feel distressed by the dystopia that we're living in. George Orwell, Ray Bradbury, Aldous Huxley, and our own Margaret Atwood saw it coming, and they warned us. We see state censorship, book bans, book burnings even, and we feel fear rising in us, policing our words. We scratch our heads at the level of intolerance to certain stories. Why are certain factions so afraid of our stories? What are we supposed to do? In short, if you're a writer, you keep writing. If you're a reader, you keep reading. To be ridiculously optimistic, I would say that every time a book is banned, censors are testifying to its power and their fear of what a book can do to change minds and to change lives, especially those of children. More than ever, it's important for writers to persist in writing uncomfortable literature, in sharing our stories, especially those stories that have been muted and erased. Fiction created imaginary virtual worlds well before the internet and AI. Here's why books are special. They allow us the chance to escape, to flee from our domestic dramas and work duties, to stop salivating at notification pings. Instead, through fiction, we can suddenly be transported to Chinatown and get a second chance at life with Kevin Chong. Or survive loneliness in a small northern town with Sarah Bernstein. We can know the toggling loyalties of motherhood with Dionne Irving. We can be militant activists or billionaires with Eleanor Catton. With C.S. Richardson, we can fall in love with our colored pencils again. But honestly, sometimes we shouldn't escape. Sometimes escapism is in fact irresponsible. So the other thing that books allow us to do is to engage more deeply with our world. We leave our reality to inhabit someone else's. Their suffering becomes ours. Their hopes and ambitions and disappointments all stay with us for days, sometimes for our whole lives. Readers, please keep reading. And writers, keep writing. Because someday, this could happen to you.
And the winner is?
And the winner is?
And the winner is?
Okay, they've told me I only have 45 minutes for my speech.
But the winner for the 2003 Giller Prize is M.G. Vasanji.
It felt like a mistake the first time, and so this time, obviously, it's a mistake.
The winner for the 2006 Scotiabank Giller Prize is Vincent Lam.
Wow, it feels like yesterday.
As a point of principle, I didn't think very hard about what I might say should I be standing here.
I will confess now, I really, really wanted to be shortlisted, and it was completely not in my conception of what was possible that I could actually win.
The winner of the 2016 Scotiabank Giller Prize is Madeleine Dionne.
Dinner, I was very certain that I would not be the winner, and I was excited for whoever was going to be, so I really enjoyed dinner. And then right around dessert, I started to get this feeling, and I ran down to the bathroom and scribbled a few notes on scraps of paper. I don't know what's on these pieces of paper. And came back up. I was just afraid that I would be caught totally speechless.
What are we gonna, we can't both sit in the same. Let's each sit on an arm. We'll each sit on an arm of the chair.
Or you can sit here.
No, I'm not gonna be the queen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I see you, Dionne.
You just feel inundated with all of these various emotions. And when I heard my name called, I guess both times, my first thought was, okay, I have to make it up the stairs without tripping on my dress. And then, oh my goodness, what am I going to say?
I wasn't expecting to win, so I didn't prepare a speech.
Those experiences are ones that I will never forget.
Next up, an international best-selling author of titles such as The End of the Alphabet, which won the Commonwealth Writers' Prize, and The Emperor of Paris, which was named Best Book of the Year by the Globe and Mail. Tonight, he will introduce us to his nominated book, All the Color in the World. Please join me in welcoming C.S. Richardson.
Its epigraph reads, "Art is seed, art is memory, art is vaccine." Thus begins All the Color in the World, a novel part miscellany, part journal, part life manual. It tells the story of Henry, a nearsighted boy of overactive imagination, gifted with a set of coloring pencils by a Shakespeare-quoting grandmother, a man haunted by the large and small tragedies of life. From the rich hues of the European masters to the technicolor magic of Hollywood, from the childhood dreams on a summer beach to the killing fields of World War II, All the Color in the World illuminates one man's life through his passions for art and color, passions that will enrich him, torment him, and ultimately redeem him.
Anybody who is operating at the top of their game and is breaking the mold. For example, there's the Broadway musical, and then there's Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton. Those are the kinds of things that inspire me. I'm C.S. Richardson, and I'm the author of All the Color in the World, and I live and I write in Toronto. I read a lot. I read nonfiction, I read fiction, I read poetry, I read the Sunday New York Times, and my wife and I tend to haunt gourmet food shops where we spend the children's inheritance on exceedingly overpriced balsamic glaze. Welcome to the view from my desk. The trinkets and memorabilia, my laptop, sitting patiently waiting for me to stop filming and get back to writing. This well-used black notebook covered in duct tape is what became All the Color in the World. And this new black book, pristine in its entirety, will be my new novel. Everything on these shelves, with rare exception, has either taught me how to write or has showed me what great writing is and can be. On my bookshelf is a photograph of the Sunnyside Bathing Pavilion built in 1922, which was instrumental in the setting for All the Color in the World. My protagonist grows up there and spends all his boyhood summers at the Sunnyside Bathing Pavilion. Somewhere north of 100 pieces of artwork make it into what is what became All the Color in the World. But there's one that means a little bit more than the other ones do. And that's Jericho's Shipwreck at Sea, also known as The Raft of the Medusa. All the Color in the World is basically a novel about art, about the way that art can motivate, can inspire someone, and ultimately the power of art to not only enhance a life, but to save a life.
The Scotiabank Giller Prize has had so many indelible moments. It's not just words, it's also numbers. Let's get to Gillers by the numbers. In the year 2000, voting ended up in a tie, so 2 giant checks were issued. The prize money has grown from $25,000 to $100,000. 2 winning novels have been adapted into major motion pictures. 1 is the number of medical doctors who have won this prize. Dr. Vincent Land. 62 is the number of times Dr. Lamb has been asked tonight, "Are you taking new patients?" During this storied history, the Giller has elevated an incredible number of books onto the world stage. Let's now take a look at what they call the Giller effect.
The Giller effect starts long before the Giller winner, and that's what makes it so special.
Because it does draw that attention not only to the winner, but to the shortlist and the long list.
The big thing about a prize like the Scotiabank Giller Prize is that it really expands the audience, it expands the readership.
For an author, winning the Scotiabank Giller Prize can be absolutely life-changing.
The Giller bump. If you have a novel that's selling pretty well anyway, you're going to see a bump. But if you have a fairly unknown novel, you're going to see a huge bump.
Suzette Meyer, who won last year, has been doing something, I think, every day since she won, giving talks, giving readings, hosting book clubs.
My goodness, Suzette. Giller Prize winner Suzette Meyer.
Success for a finalist, a winner, all of the writers means international acclaim. It means TV deals, it means movie deals, it means wide readership, it means travel, it means the opportunity to continue writing.
The prize money is amazing. The book sales on the other side of it are amazing. I was on the bestseller list for months after the long list announcement came out.
You know, CBC promotion, often on the cover of many newspapers.
It's definitely got an international prestige.
And there's this kind of real warmth that the world starts kind of throwing at you.
I felt like I had garnered a new kind of worldwide readership.
I've been writing for 25 years, and nobody knew about it until I won the Giller.
The amount of buzz, the amount of press, the amount of excitement that's generated by this prize, nothing else does that, and nothing else has ever done that.
Just one final author to go before we find out who takes home the $100,000. This author's novel, Quint, debuted in 2021, and her creative writing has appeared in many publications, including New Delta Review and Story. Currently living in Indiana, where she teaches creative writing, we welcome her now with her nominated book, The Islands. Please welcome Dionne Irving.
The Islands explores the lives of Jamaicans and descendants of Jamaicans who have relocated all over the world. Toronto, England, Panama, Florida. Whether they know it or not, the characters in these stories try to escape the ghosts of colonialism, and while hoping to grow where they find themselves planted, these include a Holocaust survivor who finds a home in Jamaican immigrant communities in Panama, a young girl made to work in her parents' Caribbean grocery store, and a model embroiled with a love affair who in Jamaica witnesses the life she might have led if her parents hadn't immigrated to Canada. These stories epitomize the Jamaican motto, out of many, one people.
So life is pretty busy, and I just kind of try to write wherever I can. So a lot of times that means doing it in the pickup line at my son's school.
You can't think about a reader too much when you're engaged in that process of writing. I think you have to kind of tell the story as you want to tell it.
Hi, my name is Dionne Irving, and I live in South Bend, Indiana, and this is my book, The Islands. So this is one of the places that I walk on campus at the University of Notre Dame where I teach. This is a multi-faith prayer and contemplation spot, and I love coming here and just having quiet time by one of the lakes that we have on campus. This is where I write. This is my office at home. This actually was formerly the dining room of my house, and my husband and I turned it into my office. I have all kinds of Post-it notes around my computer for when I get ideas. I put little notes on there and I stick them around there. And I love this chair also. It's really comfy. I looked a really long time for a chair that was both cute and comfortable. Then here is my home library. Actually, this is just the fiction. I'm kind of fanatical about my book organizations. Everything is organized alphabetically by author's last name. So this is something that I love. This is a painting of my book cover that my friend, the writer Kelsey Irving, made for me. I love the cover of my book so much, and it was really amazing gift from her. So one of the things I do a lot is I cook. You know, ideally if you put the recipe together in the right way, it goes well and it tastes good. You know, it doesn't always work that way with fiction. I also think that one of the things I love about cooking is that recipes feel more finite than fiction does sometimes.
Well, we are just moments away from finding out the winner of the Scotiabank Giller Prize on this, the Giller's 30th birthday. Rather than pass around a birthday card for everyone to sign, because this is the TV, the Giller team did this. Take a look.
Happy birthday to the prize.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I would say thank you.
I would say thank you.
Huge congratulations on the first 30, but it's only the first 30. 30 more and 30 more and 30 more after that. We will be with you for as long as we can.
This is a prize that Canadian writers are so grateful for. And to go from the conception of the prize to this monolithic thing that it's become, it's just been astonishing to see.
When I think about 30 years, that's so many years celebrating so many wonderful people.
Thank you for creating something that has become such an important part of inspiring writers, of encouraging publishers.
Can't possibly thank you enough for your impact on Canadian authors. I just want to thank them for bringing all of our books to so many readers, for believing in the multiplicity of the stories that come from this place. Just a huge thank you to the Rabinovich family for this labor of love.
Truly humbled and incredibly proud that in some way we helped with Jack's dream to build this. 30 years is an awful long time, and I would hope that this outlives us all.
Well, this is it, folks. We're just about to award the Scotiabank Giller Prize. Let's take one more look at our finalists, one of whom will receive $100,000 in the next 3 minutes. Best of luck to Eleanor Catton and her book, Birnam Wood. Kevin Chong with The Double Life of Benson Yu. Sarah Bernstein in Scotland with Study for Obedience. C.S. Richardson, All the Color in the World. And Dionne Irving with her book, The Islands. Wow. If this show was a novel, we just passed about page 200, and it's about to get very real and serious. Please welcome the Executive Director of the Scotiabank Giller Prize, Ilana Rabinovich, and the Global Chief Marketing Officer of Scotiabank, Laura Curtis Ferrara.
Thank you, Rick. We are so excited to have you here. You do an extraordinary job. Thank you for hosting again tonight. We are thrilled to have you here, back on the Scotiabank Giller Prize stage, Laura. We remain very grateful to Scotiabank for its continued support of the arts and especially Canadian literature.
Thank you, Eleanor. We are so proud to support the Canadian authors and readers that define our country. For 30 years, the prize has inspired, motivated, entertained, and thrilled us, and has taken us on adventures countless times, thanks to these brilliant writers.
And thank you, too, to CBC, who year after year devote an hour of prime time to this special night. When my father, Jack Rabinovich, started this prize 30 years ago, his dream was to encourage people to support Canadian books by simply reading them. In his words, for the price of a meal in this town, you can buy all the books. So buy the books and eat at home.
Now, to announce this year's winner, please welcome last year's winner of the Scotiabank Giller Prize, Suzette Meyer.
Congratulations to the winner. Your world is about to get very busy very fast. Congratulations to the 4 finalists. Your books are brilliant. The winner of the 2023 Scotiabank Giller Prize is Sarah Bernstein, Study for Obedience.
I'm so sorry I can't be there with you tonight. I'm at home with my 10-day-old baby who's right next to me. But my brother is there representing better than I could, as he's much more social than I am, the Bernstein contingent. And happily, he's nothing like the brother in Study for Obedience. Oh my God. Thank you to the jury for reading my book and for their gorgeous citation. I've been really overwhelmed and frankly bemused by its inclusion alongside all of the wonderful books on the long and the short list. And I can't tell you how surprised I am right now. Thank you so much to the Rabinovich family for supporting Canadian authors for so many years. Thanks to my family, my brother, my mom, my partner, Robin. This book is dedicated to my dad, who is sadly no longer with us, and he taught me to love the sound of the words. Writing has always been a process of collaboration for me, and this book is no different. It came about in conversation with many friends and many writers, past and present. I'm also really grateful to everyone who helped bring the book into the world, Amanda Betts and the wonderful team at Knopf Canada, Jason Arthur, and everyone at Granta, and of course the wonderful Harriet Moore. I'm sorry if I'm talking over claps, I can't really hear what's going on in there. I'm really privileged to have been afforded the opportunity to tell this story, and I think often now of how important it is more than ever to support writers in material ways to tell the stories of their own people in their own ways, especially when their stories challenge dominant historical narratives. Study for Obedience is a book that thinks through the past and present entanglements of people who have lived alongside one another, and how powerful are the stories people tell about themselves and their own histories. I wanted just to end in the spirit of collaboration with the words of another writer, Aurora Levins-Morales, whose poem Red Sea I encountered recently. We cannot cross until we carry each other, all of us refugees, all of us prophets. That's all. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to Sarah Bernstein and all our nominees tonight. Thank you for watching. The holiday season is almost upon us. This year, tell them you love them with a book by a Canadian author. Have a great night. We'll see you next year.